New Poppy Playtime villains have been revealed, and we gotta look at how this is going to be the darkest chapter yet. What's up, it's Size back with another Poppy Playtime video, and you're gonna want to stick to the end of this video because there are some insane details. In the trailer, we see a smiling critter walking by, and if you look closely, you can see blood on some of the other toys. He starts to eat one of the toys, but ends up getting attacked. As the screen pulls away, we see its sinister smile. It's unsettling to see a once beloved toy now reduced to a bloody husk. We learned in a previous chapter that these toys are starving, driven mad by their confinement in the factory, from being locked up in the toy factory with nothing to eat, eventually becoming cannibals. This new logo hints at the factory's dark past. I wouldn't be surprised if this was their old logo after rebranding, trying to cover up a big mistake. And these old computer screens, they scream of a time when this factory may have been involved in something way more sinister than toy making. Maybe they tried to create a bioweapon, then rebranded to this toy company. This would explain these huge prison-like cells. Way too big for a regular person, but just big enough for something else. They could easily contain experiment creatures with unimaginable strength. Could the nightmare critters be the factory's first rejected toys? Remnants of failed experiments. It's not the first time we've seen toys rejected for being too twisted. And remember at the end of chapter 3, when Poppy had us leave Kissy Missy to venture off in what looked like a nuclear chamber. It's bizarre for a toy company, right? Maybe the orphans we learned about in chapter 3 were actually part of these experiments. Some turned out right like the smiling critters, while others went horribly wrong. That could also explain why we see these fake clouds down here. They wanted the orphans to believe that this is still a happy environment when in all actuality they're being experimented on. They wanted to keep the illusion that there were kids going to school when actually they're experiments. Now, if you're worried that these nightmare critters are going to be the main villains, don't be. The devs in the Poppy Playtime Discord said this is not the main villain for chapter 4, but a placeholder. Kind of like how the cover of chapter 3 showed the gas mask, making everyone think that was the villain, when actually it was a critical gameplay element. They also said this trailer was an early version of our chapter 4 build, so it's not a final reflection of the game. I can only imagine how scary this chapter is actually gonna be. We also have some new screenshots of the nightmare smiling critters. The first one we saw was Baba Chops, who's actually in the trailer. They're the one we've seen the most, so they'll probably play a critical role. It even says she's the black sheep of the bunch, so she'll probably be different in terms of how powerful and smart she is compared to the other smiling critters. It also says Baba prefers to keep her space, like a lot of space. Too much space. She can be distant, quiet, low energy, and usually requires a lot of coaxing to get her out of the house. Luckily for her, she has some very persistent friends. She usually perks up after a while, but the next day we're right back to the same tune. Next we have Icky Licky, which by the way is a crazy name to have. Icky's the type of kid to fall behind in a relay race and immediately pin it on the sore knee, even when that's not the case. He's the very definition of a poor sport. Even though he's naturally talented, he's consistently challenging everyone on absolutely everything, and usually without the outcome he expects. Sounds like this guy wants to be a victim, definitely someone I would avoid. Next we have Raby Baby. Raby Baby couldn't keep secret if her life depended on it. Maybe we'll find out if it actually does. If there's one thing in the world she loves, it's gossiping, and she's very practiced at it. She has no concept of privacy or boundaries, and if she's even in the room, you can bet she's eavesdropping on someone. Don't worry, if she ever runs out of juicy secrets to talk about, she'll just make some up. I'm starting to notice that everyone here is extremely toxic. Raby Baby sounds like Wendy Williams, just wanting to talk gossip about everybody. Imagine her lurking in the shadows, spilling all your darkest secrets to the enemy. Or maybe somehow she'll help us out. Next we have Alistair Gator. Alistair's an all-around lazy guy. He's chill, sure, but if he could, he'd spend all day in the water doing pretty much nothing. He isn't a fan of the whole put put in effort and see the effort rewarded. He's much more of a believer of the philosophy, good things have to come to me eventually. I just need to wait around for it. I'm not gonna lie, this guy kind of sounds like a mood, but still, he's still in that toxic trait that all these characters have. Next is the newest character that's been revealed, Simon Smoke. Simon Smoke knows he's cool and popular, and he makes sure nobody ever forgets it. Whether showing off for friends or just bragging one of his accomplishments, it's always a popularity contest with him. Almost always he wins. In truth, he's a colossal jerk, but he does have a knack for getting away with being one. So Simon sounds like the cool kid that's actually really mean, but everyone just lets him get away with it because he's so cool and they want to stay cool. For some reason, he reminds me of Monty from FNAF, and I wouldn't be surprised if he also has a temper. Next is the character they just added, Poe. Poe hates the sun and thinks it's a cruel trick of nature that the world needs it in the first place. Most comfortable in the dark, they spend their nights hanging around graveyards, listening to music and feeling vaguely angry at nothing in particular. They insist it isn't a phase. So it seems like Poe is the emo / goth type that thinks the world is against him, and he kind of sounds like a poser, although I do like his design. Make sure to follow because I'll keep you up to date on all the characters they added and all the updates. Seems like the logo gives us an idea of the other characters as well. The C looks like a dragon, which we just found out is Simon Smoke, and the E looks like a shark, and the S looks like a back, which we already know was revealed. It's clear they described all these critters with negative traits. Baba is demotivated, Icky Licky's a sore loser, Raby Baby is a gossiper, Alistair Gator's lazy, Simon Smoke is a jerk, and Poe is a poser. Seems like while the smiling critters from chapter 3 were supposed to be role models, these nightmare critters are the complete opposite. Maybe they were supposed to be the villains in the smiling critters show, but it was cancelled in the game. Seems like they show you what you're not supposed to do because they all kind of seem like jerks. It's like the description of these critters reveals a twisted immoral tale. While the smiling critters from chapter 3 represent role models, these nightmarish versions embody everything we shouldn't be. If you're worried, don't be, because these are not the main villains, nor will they be the only enemies in chapter 4. What's interesting is, in the description for the game, it says new characters and allies. We definitely need a new bestie after whatever happened with Kissy Missy. Hopefully she's still alive, and also hopefully we get more story on Ollie. Honestly, I don't trust him. The fact that he never shows himself is weird, and he always seems to know where we are but doesn't warn us about the threats right around the corner. We also got some screenshots for the upcoming game. In this one, I think it shows the hub as it branches out into different directions. This is kind of similar to previous chapters. Also, like I mentioned before, we see this weird square, which we can also see this design on the storage unit in the trailer. There has to be a bigger importance, and I think this is what the logo for the company used to be, back when they created bioweapons. We also have this pic which looks like a prison. It reminds me of where the toy experiment sat in the chapter select in the game Project Playtime. There's also this picture of the pipes and trash all around it. I think in this chapter we'll be exploring the prison and where these toys were stored, and I think we'll run into a creature that should have stayed locked up. What do you all think about this new chapter so far? Make sure to follow so you're up to date with everything with Poppy's Playtime. Also, I'll be going live playing the chapters 1 through 3, so stay tuned for that. Also, make sure to follow my other socials like Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, where we talk more Poppy's Playtime. If you want your fan art posted in the next video, either at me on Twitter or join my Discord so you can post your fan art there. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.